who is in charge of snow, so we have to get back to the mountain. So we're gonna get him in and get him out.
So due to all sorts of confusion, which started with the folks in Washington, with the congressmen and all that,
Am I gonna
with
get a-
dysfunction
is
in
that like a
Washington, we
dangerous
had to mix it up a
ray or
little bit.
anything?
So Dave has been very flexible, and I appreciate everybody else being flexible and eating while he talks. To start at 12, or start now, and he's going to talk with us about everything that's going on in the prospect, which is really, really exciting and a great opportunity for our community. So, Dave?
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate having the program on first, folks. Hope you didn't get indigested with me talking to you. And the reason you haven't seen me much in the past 6 months is this project, in fact, which we've been involved in up at Prospect. I gave you all a little fact sheet, and we'll refer to that in a minute, but I thought I'd give you a little history in honor of Ted Bird, history regarding what Prospect Mountain and what we have there now and what was first there. Route 9 in Woodford, the Prospect Mountain itself is 2,740 feet in the air. Our base lodge is 2,150, and it's the highest base lodge actually in the Northeast, elevation-wise. We're proud of that, that's right. Snowfall is excellent at Prospect. You probably figured that out. We get a lot of great natural snow. When there's 0 in Bennington, we usually have a foot or more up there, and it stays, which is one of the great benefits of having the ski area there. 1935, Alexander Drysdale, who was a local merchant, ran the Drysdale department store in Bennington, began a skiing operation on close to where Prospect is now. It's actually on what's known as what is now the Greenwood Lodge, a campsite, which is campground right next to our Prospect now. And he started downhill skiing there. In 1938, he put up a rope tow, and that was pretty new technology then, to yank folks up the hill so they could downhill ski back down. He put up a small little warming hut, which I think actually is where our lodge is now. He called it Hedgehog Hollow, where the boys could go in and have a coffee and warm up a little bit. In 1940, a gentleman named William Mundell purchased 100 acres where we are now at Prospect and Drysdale's so-called ski area that was going on there. He added on to the lodge of it and put the fireplace in there, which is still there today. You go to our lodge and see a beautiful stone fireplace which was built by him. He called it the Woodford Ski Area. And again, it went along on a rope tow downhill skiing for a while. And this gentleman owned it actually for 20 years, 1940 to 1960. Again, just a downhill ski area. 1960, he sold it to Willie Morse, who was a local contractor. Willie was up at Woodford a lot because he was working on Route 9 with his boys at that time and enjoyed what he saw up there on the mountainside and the landscape. And he bought the ski area. And he immediately moved a small house, which was close by, which is still there, and used that for our ticket office. If you go into Prospect and you see the first building on the right, that was moved there by Willie Morse. And this guy's been there selling tickets. Willie put in for the first time, which is brand new technology, a T-bar lift, which is still there, non-usable. T-bar lift up the main part of the mountain for downhill skiing. He had a long one all the way up and a short one about halfway up. Some of the folks who lived here a long time, Dean and Doug and others, Ted, probably had your children go up there or went up there as young folks. Very popular little local ski area. And Willie had that for 20 years as well, 1960 to 1980. In 1980, Joe Parks, who was one of our fellow Rotarians, he's now gone from us, bought the area from Willie Morse. And Ted reminded me that Joe Parks actually sold a bookshop to Jay, right? That's correct? In downtown Bennington. Joe, a local executive and historian, a great guy. Joe tried to make a run at this. He owned it for 9 years. He owned it until 1989. Again, still a downhill area when Joe bought it. I have kind of an interesting quote from Joe because he wrote a little history on Prospect Mountain. He said, "If the same choice were to be presented again, I would make a career change, but would not get involved in the ski business." Another quote from Joe. "When I began to see what a hopeless asset I had purchased, a friend insisted that I must install snowmaking right away. I was right to reject that advice, but if he had said, 'Get snowmaking fast,' or 'If you don't, you better get out,' that would have been good advice." So What Joe was struggling with in 1980 is downhill skiing was really rolling here in Vermont in the Northeast. Mount Snow, Bromley, Stratton, all that stuff, they all had snowmaking and sophisticated systems. Prospect didn't have it. Just had the T-bar still there that Morse had put in. Joe decided not to do it, but it probably was true that in order to make a downhill area viable, even the small one, you had to have some snowmaking. Did not have that. In 1989, Joe sold the area to a gentleman named Tom Trant, who was a mechanic and owned a body business a little bit further down in Searsburg. He fixed trucks. It was a body shop and mechanical truck business. Tom was from Connecticut. He had enthusiasm but not much knowledge of the ski industry. And he attempted to juice it up a little bit by opening the restaurant all year round. He got a liquor license. There was a bar in there in our lodge. However, it didn't work out so well for Tom. And in 1992, he decided to abandon the property and did, and the Merchants Bank took it over, took it back in foreclosure at that time. A guy named Steve Whittam went to work for Joe Parks in 1980 and stayed there all that time and is still there. And Steve and his partner Andrea Amadeo bought the ski area from Merchants Bank in 1992. And they had it all the way up until this year, 2018, I should say, last year. They ran it quite successfully, and I should say we can credit Joe Parks for putting in Nordic ski trails up there, because he was the first one that did it. Joe bought it in 1980. In 1982, the first Nordic trails were put in up there at Joe's direction. And he had advice from Peter Graves and Bucky Broomhall to put those in. So Nordic skiing was part of Prospect starting then, but by the time Steve came on board, Steve Whittam, he said, we can't downhill anymore, and it was solely, and still is, a Nordic ski area only. Steve and Andrew did a fine job of running that, kind of a shoestring slash shoebox slash cigar box operation, but it ran it quite successfully up until last year. They both expressed some interest in eventually selling the property and moving on with their lives, they had grandchildren and so on. And a bunch of us who've been involved a long time up there decided to attempt to do this. So it took us about 2.5 years plus a little bit to marshal our plan and some resources and a consortium and volunteers to find a way to transfer the ownership of Prospect Mountain. We ended up doing that in September of last year, and our organization is called Prospect Mountain Association, Inc. We're a 501c3. You can refer to your fact sheet now. We'll launch into some of this stuff. Our goal was to preserve Prospect Mountain, to have it exist for the community in perpetuity. I think we've done that. It's now governed by a 9-member board of directors. The 4 of the folks on the board of directors are from Williams College. The purchase was $900,000 for this ski area, as you see on the fact sheet there. And that involved everything you see on there. We have 144 acres. We have 5 buildings, including our lodge. We have a good laundry list of equipment, including a piston bully grooming machine that's up to date and does a great job, among other mechanicals, dump trucks, snowmobiles, all that stuff was included in that. And Prospect has 30K plus a little bit of Nordic ski trails, all of which can be groomed, at least most of the time. And we have terrain for all abilities up there. You can ski flat, you can go uphill, like Brian McKenna, who's now a Nordic skiing enthusiast. And we welcome folks to come up at any time. We pulled this off by getting Williams to help us with half the purchase price, which they did. Their motivation was the Nordic ski team trains there. It's the site of their carnival, and they're interested in having a permanent home for their Division I Nordic ski team. We were able to raise $320,000 capital campaign. Some of you helped out. We much appreciate that. Our goal was $265, so we cruised right by that, which was a pleasant surprise. And we did find out, which is, I guess we always knew, but not so much, the tremendous amount of goodwill people have for this place, and they love this place. And that legacy really helped us raise this money. We are almost at the end of getting a grant from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, and in exchange for preserving the mountain, about 120 plus acres from development, they're going to give us $285,000 for that. and there's some other providers on the property, but we work with them in the land trust to orchestrate that grant and to do our campaign. So we had to get all these folks involved, and it was a team effort, and we had a development committee of about 20 folks who really helped us raise some money and talk to people, and it remains to this day, and still a community and a volunteer effort, a lot. Steve Whittam, former owner, stayed on thankfully as our mountain manager. He's still there, he works for us now. He helped us out with a no-interest loan for 6 months so we could buy the place, and we're hoping to pay him off before the interest starts. I think we can do this March or April. We have about 400 season pass holders at Prospect, which really helps us out from an income standpoint, and again speaks to how popular the place is among folks who want to ski. And we estimate, and they come from a variety. You see the states I have on there. Our season pass holders come from 7 states there, including New Jersey and Connecticut. We have second homeowners, some of them in Woodford, who are pass holders. Really enjoy coming up, and we estimate that at least 2,500 different people use Prospect Mountain on an annual basis for skiing. It is the home, of course, I mentioned, of Williams College, as well as the Mount Anthony Union High School ski team. They ski there a lot. There's a race tomorrow. The Berkshire League, which are folks in Mass, Central Mass and Western Mass, use it quite frequently. The reason is we always have some snow, or usually do, which is good for us, whereas in Massachusetts it's a bit slim, and they can't have their high school races unless they come to our place. When we have one of those, there's 300 kids up there. It's fun to see them, but if you want to come up, you probably shouldn't come when the Berkshire League is skiing. We do have a website, prospectmountain.com. We try to have on there when the races are, so you can get around them if you want. A lot of other information on there about what's going on. We have a bunch of other private schools use Prospect. We have had a variety of events up there. This last year and 4 years ago in 2014, the U.S. Snowshoe Nationals were held at Prospect Mountain. Some of you probably helped out with that. That was a great event. We had 300 competitors come, plus the Sherpas who come along with them, and spectators. Great for Bennington in February to have that. The Bill Koch Youth Ski League, which has been going on for many, many years, uses it quite a bit. Brian's children are involved. He's got 5 ladies, and probably 4 of them are doing it now, right? Yeah, which is great. And that involves probably 100 plus kids from our area, plus Williamstown, plus Wilmington, who ski. Some of them ski just for fun and recreation. Some of them are interested in racing. They have both those programs available. And it's a great way for kids to start learning to do this, and we hope a feeder program for Mount Anthony as well. We think it's a pretty good driver economically for the Bennington area. I think I've given you some examples of that. We had some great support in our drive from Bank of Bennington. The town of Bennington gave us $10,000, which is very, very kind of them to do this, to help us pull this off. We do have a very nice lodge up there. It's rustic. We call it with rustic charm. And that's available for functions in the off-season, weddings and other receptions, that kind of thing. Prospect has been the site of some pretty good skiing, and we have 2 Olympians that trained there. Dave Jarecki, who was a biathlete, some of you might know Dave, 2-time Olympian, and my son Andy as well. Skied there, started when he was 3. We hope to not only continue it in the state that it's in, but to over time improve Prospect a bit, operationally, physically. We have some challenges. We will have challenges on the building and the infrastructure up there, the septic system. We knew that going in, and we're going to have to get a laundry list and prioritize that. We're working with our partners at Williams, who have been very helpful to us, and we are hoping, ultimately, primarily with their help, to do some snowmaking at Prospect Mountain, which sounds like something you don't need, but you do need it for the Nordic world as well. You know how funky the weather can be around here, and many times we have in January, it gets up to 55 degrees and starts raining. Well, when that happens, that does lower our snowpack on there. And having something where we could at least get 2-3 K or more of a base for snowmaking would really help us. which means we'd never have to close unless there was some really unusual weather. And it would help our Williams friends and others start right around Thanksgiving. This year we had snow at Thanksgiving, which was great. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't have decent snow until after Christmas. So that's the idea. We'd like to expand the trails some. FIS is the International Ski Federation. We're close, but we need to have one that's going to be certified by them. And if we do that, we would have available to us more regional racing events who would require that certification in our trails. Also help Williams too at their carnival. That's going to require some effort on our part with some trail clearing and some other activities of that nature. We do need a permit from the Forest Service to do most things we do up there because 40% of our trails are on U.S. forest land. And they're good folks, but we need to have them approve pretty much everything we do every step of the way of the trails. We'd like to consider some off-season events if we can. Mountain biking is great, but we need a separate permit for that if we were to do mountain biking on a regular basis up there. We'd like to consider stuff in the summer, maybe trail running or other events of that nature. And the end result is we have a ski area that's functioning. We need volunteer help, and if you really have a burning desire to help, you can let me know about that. But we have a great crew of folks who are veteran prospect volunteers, and it's been a nice ride so far, but has dominated my time and others quite a bit. So that's our story, and happy to take some questions and have some comments from you folks. And some of our veterans like Dean and others skied up there when they were just youngsters. Yes, Doug. Yeah.
I don't have a question, I just want to thank you. When my son started skiing out here right here at the country club with a Rotary rope lift, he then went to Prospect, and now he's an avalanche control person throwing bombs at avalanches and going all over the world. You've got to
Thank you, Doug, for that reference. Yes, go ahead. Jerry Butler.
Hi, David. How are you, buddy?
Yeah.
What are the logistics of setting aside 122 acres? You just do that? The state send you a check, or how's that work?
Well, I wish it was that simple, but we have to submit to them, and we have a pretty detailed map of what's preserved. What's not preserved, which is right around the lodge, and that's about 20-some acres, which is basically our area to do stuff. It's called a high-use zone, and we can do a lot in there, but we need to have approval for stuff from the Conservation Board to do stuff. But we think we're going to work that out. So that's being submitted right now, Jerry, for everybody to approve, which would be our board of directors plus the Conservation Board. They need a management plan. We've done that. It's fairly detailed. We've had a lot of help on this from Don Campbell. I'm sure some of you know Don. He's a Bennington selectman. Tremendous help to us. He works for the land trust. And he basically is carrying the torch on this to finalize the easement and submit everything they want.
So how do you get the money? Does it come in, trickle down?
Well, once they approve this, we'll get the whole check,
Oh, okay.
$285.
Which is what period of time?
Well, we're hoping to get it in 30 days or 45 on this. We're almost there on that one.
Very
Yeah.
quick. for the
Yes,
state.
Kathy, right.
Do you give lessons for those of us who don't know how to do them?
You are from Texas after all.
Right.
The answer is yes, we do have lessons available. Generally during the week's a good time for that versus the weekends. And we ask you to call up there, or you can email info@prospectmountain.com and make an appointment to do that.
But
We do have
don't need
folks that do
skis,
that.
you got all that stuff.
Borrow mine.
We have rentals, yeah, in fact, we have rentals available.
Do I need ski boots, or do I?
We have boots, poles, and skis available.
I can't
If you have
remember
nothing, it's
regular
okay. We have all that stuff available,
No.
plus snowshoe rental if you want to do that.
And they also have a rescue
Cross
squad.
country ski.
A rescue squad?
We have a rescue squad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So who teaches the lessons? Volunteers?
Well,
or-
well, both. We have one of our staff members, Al, does some of the lessons during the week. And we also have 2 or 3 other folks who do that, who are volunteers / subcontractors that offer that service, yeah.
So people pay per day or per?
Yeah, that's like a per lesson thing.
Permit?
And we have like a private lesson or a semi-private lesson, and we throw the rentals in. We have a schedule of that stuff right on the site if you want to look at the
And then just
pricing
to
on
use
that.
it, you pay, you get a season's pass, or you pay by day, or what?
That you can just pay for a one-timer for a lesson if you want. We also have day passes if you like that. We have what we call a late day pass if you go up there after 2 o'clock, or you can get a season pass. Any of them are available. Our retail rate for the full day is $22 right now. And various other, but we are able to rent. If you have nothing, you could come up, pick up the stuff to rent, and you can get a lesson if you'd like. But we like you to make an appointment on the lesson if you can. Yeah, sure.
A couple of years ago, some talk was up about building a 9-hole golf course up there with some revenue during summer. Is there any talk of that?
I must admit there hasn't been, but I guess we'll put it on the list. It'd be hilly in some areas, but that's good for the golfers. All right,
Yeah, but now that it's conserved.
maximizing the use of the property in the off-season is one of our priorities. Yeah. Yes, Jay?
Just a few comments. We moved here in 1971, and of course our first winter we went to Prospect like all the families around here. As I recall, a family pass, a ski pass, 6 of us, was $104 for the season.
Right.
And I remember Willie Morse was right there loading people onto the T-bar. I mean, he was a really strong participant, and it was a great way for families and children with families to learn how to ski very reasonably and very close by. And it was a very safe area type of thing. So compliments to you for all you've done to bring it along.
Well, thanks, and we're sorry we can't offer downhill anymore. We do hear that a lot for folks who like to have that family reasonably priced downhill area, but it's beyond what we can do now, reasonably Prospect. And our goal, and we're done pretty well at that, is to make it a first-class Nordic area. Yes, go
Is the
ahead.
Bill Cook League on the weekend, or it's during the week to go inside the GISP? How does that work?
Well, the kids practice twice a week. Brian will Tuesday, Thursday up there at the school. And when there are events in there, once in a while, that's on the weekend usually. There was one last Sunday up at Prospect, and that's a race for kids who want to race. Now, we are at the moment not involved in that GIFs thing. We want to do that for next year. We'd like to offer to all these schools who do that an option of having their kids come up to Prospect to Nordic ski. Won't be a lot, but there may be some that want to try that. And if that's true, we would provide, hopefully at no cost, the rentals and some help in doing all that. And that is on our agenda for 2019, 2020 to do that.
That's great. And you have a good Facebook page too. I heard you mention your website. But you
Well, thanks a
have
lot.
Facebook.
As you might expect, I don't manage that. We have some great volunteers. Helen Sharkey, who works for Spectrum Design, does all that for us. Our website plus the Facebook things. Glad you're looking at that. Yeah, right.
I'm from California.
Yep. It's a
Surf
fine
course,
state.
the beach.
Yep.
We never skied.
Yep.
What is the difference between downhill and Nordic? I'm
Well,
sorry,
yeah.
I'll teach you how to dive and wave. I never was a dumb.
Well, the folks who ski downhill or alpine skiing, of course, you need a lift to get somewhere. You need a lift to take yourself to the top,
Okay.
and then you use gravity to help you going down.
Right.
All right. Jace Winterberg is a master downhill skier. Still is at his age
So
now.
Nordic is going all.
And on our type of skiing does not require a lift at all. You can just get on those skis and you can ski uphill. How about that?
Much better exercise.
All right. It's a great sport for getting outside, getting some exercise, and fun to go around terrain. And so it is a different concept than the downhill folks, and we respect all them a lot. But your chances of getting hurt are much less in what we offer versus the downhill technique. But that's what it is.
It's also a prettier way to walk through the woods than a snowshoeing.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The downhill skiers are great, and if you follow it all, Michaela Schifrin from the U.S. has just lighted it up this year. She's a fabulous athlete,
Snowshoeing's great.
23 years old. She's already had like 50 World Cup wins. Ridiculous.
Trained in Vermont.
That's right, she did. She trained at Burke Mountain Academy for a while. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff's on the NBC Sports Channel. If you get that on your cable system, it's great to watch that on the Olympic Channel. Downhill and some cross country.
If you snowshoe, are there separate snowshoe trails or?
We do have them, yes. We do have separate snowshoe trails. And our guys at the ticket office can show you where they are. If you have dogs, we're okay with that. We have some designated dog trails for folks who want to take their dogs up there. Yes.
We were watching the Olympics last year. My daughter got really into it. It was her first year
Great.
downhill skiing, so it was like perfect timing. And they said a few times that kind of if you can ski in Vermont, you can ski anywhere
Yes.
because of the ice. Is that true for Nordic as well? You know that it's
Well-
rough conditions and so it's better training?
Sometimes, yes. Sort of the east is known for ice, and Danny and Jay can comment on that from the downhill world.
I'll let Jim go ahead of me, so.
Yeah,
I'm at home on ice.
that's right, but it's true. We don't get the fluffy powder that our friends in the west get. But you know what, they're a bunch of wimps out there. Jim Thibodeau will, you gotta be able to ski on the ice. Sometimes that is true, yes.
They're wide and smooth.
I'll take one more, folks, and I gotta roll. Go ahead, Bobby.
David, is there any thought of emulating the Bromley model of doing double carts and for the off-season slides and things like that?
We haven't talked about that, I have to say, and that probably works pretty well for Bromley up there.
Could you even do that with all the easements and everything?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the easement on the mountain would prevent us from doing that, I'm sure.
A music fest or a bluegrass fest?
We could do
or
that, we can do that stuff. We are thinking about some stuff events, musical events.
a cannabis fest?
Yeah, Steve, before we became involved, had a couple of
Black
reggae
Flag
fests
season.
up there. If we do that, it's not gonna be reggae or heavy metal, it'll be something more adult.
Reggae's a
It'll be classic 70s rock, and that's what it should be.